of the immeasurables. Question. What fruits of retribution does the person who is practicing the four immeasurables receive? Answer. The Buddha said, he who enters into the concentration of loving kindness receives, at the present, 5 benefits. I. He is not burned if he enters fire. He does not die if he swallows poison. The soldier's sword does not wound him. IV. He will not die a violent death. V. The good gods protect him. Having been of benefit to innumerable beings, he receives immense merit. By virtue of this immeasurable mind of impure order that has beings as object, he is reborn in a pure place, namely, the form realm. Question. Why did the Buddha say that the reward for loving kindness is to be reborn in the Brahma heavens? Answer. Because the brahmadevas are venerated by beings, everyone has heard of them and everyone knows them. The Buddha lived in the Indian kingdoms where there were always many Brahmins and whose religion virtuous men were all reborn among the brahmadevas. When they learn that the devotees of loving kindness are reborn among the brahmadevas, beings have great faith and are ready to practice loving kindness. This is why the Buddha said that devotees of loving kindness are reborn among the brahmadevas. Furthermore, the gods who have cut through sexual desire are all called Brahma, and it is said that these Brahmas dwell in the form realm. And so the fact of having cut through sexual desire is called brahmacarya celibacy, and those who have cut through are called brahmanas. When the Buddha speaks here of the Brahma heavens, he means not only the 4 dhyanas of rupadhatu, inhabited by the brahmadevas, but also the 4 arupyasamapattis formless absorptions of arupyadhatu, inhabited by the formless deities. Investigation and analysis, which are eliminated in the dhyanas of arupyadhatu, are so difficult to destroy that the Buddha does not speak here about the levels higher than these dhyanas, namely, the 4 arupyasamapattis. In the same way, when he spoke about the discipline of speech, which is part of the fivefold discipline of the upasaka, the Buddha mentioned only one abstention, the abstention from lying, but he implied the other 3 abstentions regarding slander, harmful speech and idle chatter. Question. So loving kindness brings the 5 benefits in question. But why did the Buddha say nothing about the benefits brought by compassion, joy and equanimity? Answer. Refer to the above comparison. By speaking of one single thing, the Buddha intends the other 3. This applies here also. What the Buddha said about loving kindness is equally true for compassion, joy and equanimity. Furthermore, loving kindness is the immeasurable par excellence. Loving kindness is like the king. The other 3 immeasurables that accompany it are like the people. Why? First, the yogin, by the mind of loving kindness, wants beings to find happiness. Seeing that there are some who do not find happiness, he produces the mind of compassion. Wanting beings who are free from painful thoughts to find the joy of the Dharma, he produces the mind of joy. Feeling neither aversion nor fondness nor sorrow towards these 3 things, he produces the mind of equanimity. Finally, it is loving kindness that gives happiness to beings. Moreover, in the Sangyahan, the Buddha spoke about the mind of compassion endowed with the 5 benefits. In many places in the Mahayana Sutras, he spoke about the benefits it presents. Thus, in the Wang Mingpusa King, he said, the bodhisattva practices the 32 kinds of compassion among beings. The former increase gradually and change into great compassion. Great compassion is the root of the qualities of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. It is the mother of Prajnaparamita and the grandmother of the Buddhas. By means of great compassion, the bodhisattva attains Prajnaparamita, and having acquired Prajnaparamita, he becomes Buddha. He praises great compassion in every way. Also in other places, he praises the mind of joy and the mind of equanimity, but as loving kindness and compassion are very important, the Buddha praises their advantages by preference. Loving kindness, because of its qualities, is difficult to get, and compassion realizes great deeds. Question. However, in explaining the benefits of the 4 immeasurables, the Buddha said, the mind of loving kindness, properly observed, properly developed, ends up at best in a rebirth among the Subhakirtana gods. The mind of compassion, properly observed, properly developed, leads at best to the sphere of the infinity of space. The mind of joy, properly observed, properly developed, ends up at best in the sphere of the infinity of consciousness. The mind of equanimity, properly observed, properly developed, leads at best to the sphere of nothing at all. The three spheres in question belong to the arupyadhatu and not rupadhatu, which forms the Brahmaloka. Why then did the Buddha say above that the fruit of retribution of loving kindness and the other immeasurables is rebirth in the Brahma heavens? Answer. 1. The teaching of the Buddhas is inconceivable. He speaks in this way in order to conform to the needs of those to be converted. 2. Furthermore, when one emerges from the concentration of loving kindness, it is easy to be led to the third dhyana, the summit of which the subhakartsna gods occupy. On emerging from the concentration of compassion, it is easy to enter into the akasanayatana. On emerging from the concentration of joy, it is easy to enter the vijnananantyavatana. On emerging from the concentration of equanimity, it is easy to enter into the akimkanyavatana. 3. Furthermore, by means of the mind of loving kindness, the yogin wishes that all beings may find happiness, and, as a reward for this thought, he himself finds happiness. In the threefold world, the subhakartsna gods are the happiest. This is why the Buddha says that the mind of loving kindness leads at best to rebirth among the subhakartsna gods. By means of the mind of compassion, the yogin sees beings who are old, sick, weak, tormented and suffering. A feeling of pity arises in him and he wonders how he can liberate these beings from suffering. Actually, if one eliminates the internal suffering, the external sufferings go away, and if one eliminates the external suffering, the internal suffering goes away. The yogin then says, those who have a body necessarily encounter suffering. Only those who have no body meet up with no suffering. And yet the akasa excludes all form and by that very fact, escapes from suffering. This is why the Buddha said that the mind of compassion ends up at best in the akasanantyavatana. By means of the mind of joy, the yogin wants to bring beings the spiritual happiness called joy. In this spiritual happiness, the mind, freed from the body, is like a bird that has escaped from its cage. In the akasanantyavatana, the mind, although free of the body, was still attached to space. The vijnananantyavatana is immense. It is consciousness in all the phenomena, and this consciousness enjoys unlimited sovereignty. This is why the Buddha said that joy ends up at best in the vijnananantayatana. By means of the mind of equanimity, the yogin remains neutral to the suffering and the happiness of beings, and, since he ignores suffering or happiness, he attains true equanimity, namely, the akimkanyavatana. This is why the Buddha said that the mind of equanimity ends up at best in the akimkanyavatana. These four immeasurables are acquired only by the noble individuals and not by the worldly people. 4. Finally, the Buddha knew that in future times, because they were of weak faculties, his disciples would become attached to dharmas by way of making distinctions and would wrongly say about the four immeasurables. The four limitless ones, having beings as their object, are exclusively impure, concern the desire realm exclusively, and do not exist in the formless realm. In order to destroy the wrong views of these people, the Buddha said that the four immeasurables also concern the